Likewise, Alex said. Thanks again for taking us to the castle. My pleasure. I hope to run into you someday soon, Jack said, and then headed in the direction of his home with a new bounce in his step. It was very strange. Jack was now acting like the person Alex always thought he would be. What is that guy's deal? How does someone go from a zombie to a camp counselor in a matter of seconds? Connor said. I don't know, Alex said, looking after him as he walked away. He's a very odd man. Looks like we'll be sneaking into the castle after all, Connor said, and slumped to a seated position on the ground. At least we know what to expect tonight, and we already went through a good portion of the baskets, Alex said. We just have to wait until midnight. And in the meantime, I could really use a nap, Connor said. The twins traveled up the street and booked a room at the Shoe Inn. Their room had a perfect view of Red Riding Hood's castle. It was somewhere near the shoe's tongue because a set of laces crossed through one of their walls. The room also had a working bathtub, and they both took turns using it, since they hadn't been able to bathe in so long. That was the best bath I think I'll ever have, Connor said. They both decided to rest for a little bit, and as soon as their bodies touched the bed, they both fell into a deep sleep. They slept for a few hours and woke up shortly before midnight. What's our game plan for tonight? Connor said. It'll be the first time we'll ever be breaking and entering anywhere, so I'm very nervous. Let's take account of everything we have now, Alex said, and dumped all the contents of their bags onto the bed. We have 2 blankets, a bag of gold coins, a dagger, a lock of Rapunzel's hair, a glass slipper, a map, a journal, and a satchel of food, Alex listed. We can use the dagger to get a chunk of wood out of the basket, but it's going to be dark. We'll need some light. Let's take these lanterns, Connor said, and gathered lanterns that were on the bedsides. Great, Alex said. We should plan on leaving the kingdom right after that, just in case we run into some trouble. We'll head to the east entrance of the kingdom, and that'll bring us close to the border of the fairy kingdom. Connor lowered his head. I was so looking forward to coming back to this bed. At 1:45 Alex and Connor gathered all their things, lit their lanterns, and left the Shoe Inn. They walked across town to the castle. It was so quiet at night. Not even farm animals were up this late. They hid behind Humpty Dumpty's wall and watched through the castle windows as guards patrolled the halls. Just a few more minutes, and they'll leave, Alex said. A few minutes later, they saw fewer and fewer guards walk past the windows. Are they gone? Connor asked. They must be, Alex said. Let's go. They ran around to the back of the castle and saw a large kitchen through a set of windows. They hopped across the moat. They knew they'd be able to, and pulled at the window. Like the journal had said, it didn't have a lock, and it opened easily. Alex crawled into the kitchen first. She was as quiet as possible. The only sound she made came from the intense beats of her heart. Connor climbed in after her and knocked over a stack of pots and pans. Alex was mortified. I'm going to kill you, she mouthed at him. Sorry, he mouthed back. They waited for a moment to see if anyone had heard the disturbance, but no one had. The twins left the kitchen and found themselves in a hallway with, to no surprise, more portraits of Red Riding Hood. That Red Riding Hood sure loves having her portrait painted, Connor said. Maybe there are so many paintings of her because she's the first monarch the kingdom has ever had. It doesn't have the history of the Charming Kingdom, Alex said. Or she's just a self-obsessed person, Connor said. They traveled down the hall, then another one, then up a set of stairs and down another hall. Do you know where you're going? Connor asked. I thought I was following you, Alex said. What? Since when do you follow me? Connor said. A shadow was creeping toward them from down the hall. As it got closer, they could see it was the silhouette of a guard. A guard, Alex whispered and pointed at the shadow. They ran down the hall and entered the first room they found. The room was pitch black. "Where are we now?" Connor asked. "Why are you asking me questions you know I don't have the answers to?" Alex said. Alex waited by the door and listened for the guard to pass by. Connor moved around the room with his hands stretched out in the darkness so he wouldn't bump into things. Their eyes began to adjust to the darkness. "Alex, I think I can see something." Connor walked right into what he thought was a doorway and suddenly saw a pale face staring back at him. He fell to the floor with fear. He screamed as quietly as he could. "Alex, there's someone standing over there in the doorway. He's so creepy and ugly," Connor said, pointing up. Alex ran to his side and squinted her eyes to see what he was talking about. "That's not a doorway. That's a mirror, you idiot," Alex said. "Oh," Connor said, and Alex helped him up to his feet. "Oh my, what big claws you have," said a voice behind Alex and Connor, causing them both to jump 5 feet into the air. They turned to see an enormous 4-poster bed with silky red sheets and lacy white curtains around it. In the bed, talking in her sleep, was Queen Red Riding Hood. "We're in the Queen's room," Connor whispered to Alex. "Oh my, what a big nose you have, Grandma," Red said, still very much in her sleep. "Is she having a nightmare?" Connor asked. "Oh my, what big teeth you have, Wolf," Red screamed and sat straight up in her bed, awake. Alex and Connor dropped to the floor, out of her view. She was out of breath and beads of sweat appeared on her forehead. She finally caught her breath. "Not again," she said, and then, frustrated, laid back down to sleep.